Now, does poetry have the power to prevent accidents? New Yorker John Morse certainly hopes so. He's created a series of street signs with pictures and haikus underneath, which are meant to warn pedestrians, cyclists and drivers of the dangers ahead. So there's a picture, for example, of a woman half in light, half in dark, with a crescent moon in the corner, and the words, "She walks in beauty like the night, maybe that's why drivers can't see her." The idea is that the signs will reduce the 4,000 or so accidents a year in New York City. The BBC's Matt Wells asked pedestrians there what they thought about the idea.
Creative idea. I'd like to see it, and I'd like to see more stuff like it around the city, but I don't know if it's going to hit home right away.
Cyclist writes screenplay plot, features bike lane drama, how pedestrian.
Nice.
I think it's a very creative way to get their point across. I like it.
A little bit obscure, perhaps?
No, I don't think it's obscure at all. Actually, I think it's borderlines on the overly literal.
I think haikus are always effective, but yeah, I think it's like a really funny way to actually, I wouldn't remember that sign if it was just like, don't get hit by bikes, but because it's witty, I think people will be more likely to remember it.
But isn't it possible that pedestrians may be distracted by the poetry and put themselves at risk? The artist and poet John Morse is the man behind the signs.
I guess it would be a compliment if somebody was so dazzled by your poetry that they would wander into the street. But the fact is, these signs are 8 inches by 8 inches. They're on the sidewalk facing the pedestrians. And, we're surrounded by so many images and blaring billboards that are Jumbotron screens that I think the chances of someone being, let's say, utterly distracted to their own peril is remote.
And you've done this before, haven't you? So you've had some experience of it.
Yes, ma'am. A year ago in the city of Atlanta, I made 10 different haiku and put them on 500 of these little bandit signs and put them at intersections and stop signs around the city. For example, one of them was, "Cash for your old gold, the value of memories measured by the ounce." If you say to someone, nobody really reads poetry, almost invariably someone will say, "Oh, I do." But the fact is, most people don't read poetry. So the idea is to free the poetry from the ghetto of a book and liberate it from the page and put it in a public sphere in a way that's accessible, in a way that's consumable.
Is the idea in New York as well to try and save lives and stop injuries?
Yes, ma'am. The intent is to stress sharing the streets. New York is a very crowded city, and there's cyclists and pedestrians and cars and buses, and the whole idea is please pause and reflect on where you're at in that milieu, one of them says, "Oncoming cars rush, each one a 3-ton bullet, and you, flesh and bone." So this is another way of saying to someone, hey, look both ways, but perhaps in a way that they'll take pause.
Yeah, that one did speak to me, definitely, especially with its sign as well, a person looking slightly fragmented, I suppose, or I don't know if that's the right way to describe it.
Precisely what it is, precisely.
But there is also one which is the spokes of half a wheel and some bodies seeming to be tangled in it. And it says, "Cyclist writes screenplay, plot features bike lane drama, how pedestrian." And I couldn't quite get that, whether that was a message for the pedestrians to keep out of the bike lanes or for the bike lanes to beware of pedestrians.
If you're in a bike lane and you're riding a bicycle, one of the worst things that can happen is a pedestrian stepping in front of you. It's just dangerous all the way around. By the same token, any pedestrian will tell you the cyclists have to give you a break because they're quiet, a bicycle. You don't know that they're coming so fast, perhaps. So part of the thing is backhanded to the cyclist. You want to talk about how all this drama that takes place in the bike lane, that's a rather pedestrian thing to say. And by the same token, the true danger of that bike lane is when a pedestrian steps in front. So it is meant to cut both ways.
That's the New York artist and poet John Morse, and that's all from us for now. Thanks very much for listening. From all of us at NewsHour, goodbye.